I feel blessed to have been born First Nation, to be born Dakota Cree, to experience the culture and where my mom comes from, or who my father is, where he comes from, and two very powerful tribal groups in North America, the Cree and the Sioux, because the culture is so intense and so amazing to connect with the spirit of all that and to understand it, because it was so important to my parents that I knew who I was, where I came from, what it was all about. And journey work came into our life really interestingly, because one of the things I stopped doing was buying a lot of self-help books. And one day we were in the mall and we were coming to that section, and I noticed a book. For some reason, it was a blue book. I didn't pay much attention to it, walked by it, and something kept drawing me back to it. And the phrase people use when a book jumps out at you, I believe came true for me that day. I experienced it because there was something pulling me back to it.
Well, the Cree tradition, and we're also part of Nakota, Cree Nakota, means a great deal to me, and spiritually, and I speak the language fluently. I raised my children in the environment part of the land in this community, and I've raised them to really be proud of it as well. They grew up in it and they understand it, and they have most respect for it, and to also teach them that they are a part of it, and it's also a part of them. That connection to the land is really, really important to us. The spirit part of it, the essence part of it, and is so important, because when I say it's a part of me, and it's a part of my children. We're connected to the land, the spiritual essence of it. It's what gives us life, and the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe. It's all a part of us, and that's and believing that there's a spirit in everything. There's a spirit in the rock. There's a spirit in the water, and that's where the connection is. That without it, we're not alive inside, and the spirit inside is sustained by that as well. I developed an illness that was incurable, myelodysplasia it's called, where I needed a very delicate medical procedure where I had to undergo a bone marrow transplant, a stem cell transplant. And very fortunate to, one of my brothers was a complete match with me and donated his stem cells to me, so I can be here and be alive and experience life again, a second chance at life. And we came across the book, Brandon Bayes, and I give thanks to Brandon every day and every journey I go to, intensive and now the abundance. And that's when I knew that I was going to survive or live through this illness, that I was going to be okay. I was going to get well, I was going to recover. I knew it when I went to the intensive. And I used the process when I was going through the stem cell transplant in the hospital, while I was going through it and afterwards. And it amazed the doctors how quickly I was recovering, and along with our prayers and the family and the support I was getting from my family and my brother spiritually. It helped me immensely, and it helped my family and our relationship together. It brought us a lot closer together.
There were a number of things that we were doing to welcome whatever Creator had in store. There was something we needed to learn from this experience, or we were going to learn from this experience. I was also at the same time needing to work, and I couldn't be there 100% for him in the hospital. I knew he was using the tools that were given or that were taught in the process, and he was falling to sleep to the healing sand meditation, and I knew it was taking care of him there in that setting, in the hospital that can be so traumatic for individuals. And I would come and I could see him being in a relaxed state. Even when he was at his thinnest and most drawn after the chemo, he would put on, and listen to Brandon and really immerse himself in it. He did it with such a faith and such a commitment and such an openness that it was helping me, because I had a lot of fear, and I was battling that a lot of times and wouldn't show it. And I know with our youngest, Jelani, the fear was immense for her, and she would correspond with me through email. And Mom, what would happen if Dad doesn't survive this sickness and whatnot? And I still knew that something more needed to happen, and I think Creator knew that too. And that was one of the things He showed us. So emotionally, they became more vocal in their expression. Another key area, of course, was looking at those core emotions, or what it was that was a cell memory. And he would share that with me in terms of what unfolded and the connection made with the sickness and the actual stored memories.
It was a time when I was about 12 years old. My late dad took me on a trip to Ontario, Sudbury, Ontario, and he went and got drunk and lost me. I got lost in the city, first time in the city ever, and not being fluent in English language, very little English. It was so totally foreign to me, and I was so scared and afraid. And I left here because we were in poverty and didn't have very much clothes. I wore my younger brother's shoes, and they were tight on me. And we went on a train, and my mom had instructed him to buy me new shoes, and which he didn't do. And the tight shoes started to create sores on my feet, and got blisters and got infected, and it got really painful. I was there, and when I was doing the process, that's where I went, and that was a cell memory. When I went to my bone marrow, that's where that sickness originated from. I believe that's what it showed me, because when I went to the doctor, he says, "This illness you have, it didn't come to you a week ago, 3 weeks ago, or a month ago, even a year ago. You've had it for a very long time." And that made a lot of sense to me, because I must have been about 10 or 12 years old, somewhere around there. I remember I couldn't wear shoes for a long time because I neglected them, and I didn't do anything about them for about a week. And I still have the scars. The sores were really, really deep. They were so I couldn't move my ankles. That's how sore it was. And that's where the anger was. That's where the rage was, and that's where forgiveness happened. And I believe that was because that's where I went. That was the issue for me. That's where the illness was, and I went to that cell memory. Yeah, that was really neat. It blew me away. It was so awesome. Yeah, and that's when I believed that, hey, I'm going to recover from this. I'm going to get well. I'm going to be alive again. And it was a celebration. I celebrated inside, and I celebrated on the outside.
When I first experienced the journey, it was like coming home. It was like coming home. And experiencing it the first time, knowing or having a sense at that time that, of course, my mentor is my higher self, or my higher consciousness. To me, it was still more than that. There was a deeper level of spirituality. At one time, it was the grandfathers that came, and my late father, and yeah, it's a connection to our higher self, our higher consciousness. And with many other processes, it tends to miss it, or not go to the depths as Journey does to clear that. Yeah, so it's really important because I see people. If I look at the healing of our communities and our families, it's one of the issues where a lot of people, or a lot of the areas when people will get stuck, or they'll even confuse. Well, I'm not going to forgive that. How can you forgive something like that happening? And yet it's not about the behavior. It's not about that. It's a forgiveness of that human being or whoever it was. And we don't need to forgive a wrongdoing. A wrongdoing is a wrongdoing. It's the individual.
I believe that's when healing started to happen for me, when I accessed that cell memory, that time in my life where I felt the anger and the rage and the terror and the fear and all the emotions of unknown what's going to happen to me being lost in the city. Yeah, and it was so scary, as if it happened yesterday. Like I can really think about and see myself being in that park all night and not knowing what's going to happen until the police came to pick me up and put me in a foster home for a few days while they looked for my dad, and they couldn't find him, and they brought me home on a train. And how scared that was, even for me coming home on a train by myself. Yeah, I really believe grace, source of grandfathers, the creator, showed us this way to help me and help my wife, my family, and now my people that in Saskatchewan and being brought to Canada. It really opened up a channel for us to reconnect once again to ourselves spiritually. And I believe our people, and I connected to it so easily because of already the connection I have inside through our ceremonies, our song and dance, and our language. It means so much to me, and for that I'm forever grateful. It's a whole new way of functioning daily, and it's integrated in us, it's integrated into our family, and now the challenge is to integrate it into the community, and I believe once we put the word out that people are now starting to come. A lot of our First Nations people are really having a strong connection to the journey work, and the strong connection is there because of the spiritual connection that we have with ourselves and Creator. Yeah, and a lot of it, the processes that we go through, a connection to our ceremonies as well. Yeah, so the journey work has given me a second chance at life, and it's very important for me to acknowledge and to thank Brandon and to thank Skip and you and all the trainers involved in bringing our people together on this journey that we're embarking on. And it's really, really exciting for me to be a part of it. And I really believe that's the reason why her and I was shown this way, to where that book came to us. Not only I benefit now, our families and the people in our communities are benefiting from it. Yeah, it's exciting. It's great to be alive.
I think the journey for us is giving us a freshness, a newness, an excitement, and most importantly, here it is, that energy. It's a new energy to not only our relationship and the continued challenges that are going to come with relationships. However, with what we do together as a team outside our home, in our communities and in our work. And there's this new energy that I can tap into any time. Or if one of us falters or begins to get tired, we can nudge the other one and do a quick process or remind each other of our true self, our source.
I see our way of life, our culture, and the spirit inside and journey dancing together as a ceremony. I see journey work as a ceremony. It's a celebration of life, no different than us going to a ceremony where that spirit is alive, where people are there soul to soul. And that's how I find so amazing It's like being in a ceremony, going through a journey ceremony of rebuilding, rejuvenating, reclaiming, and coming alive, and healing, recovering, and getting well, and moving on. Yeah, and that's how come I see it as a very, very strong connection to it. It was so easy for me to connect to it, to come to that place of harmony and acceptance and aliveness. Yeah, to be open and to be vulnerable. Yeah, from heart to heart.
That's why I'm really excited for it coming to the people and learning to do it. Because that's where we're going to work from. That's where we're going to live from. That's where we're going to communicate from that depth, that level. And it's time to go home to that. It's time to embrace that again and truly live in spirit. Truly validate our spirituality. It's not just a word we can throw around anymore. If we were truly in our spirituality, the challenges we're facing today in terms of poverty, addictions, violence, they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be there. That was one of my biggest awarenesses. So when we can really go back to spirit, really make that heart-to-heart connection and be there where our ancestors were, where they lived from, we're going to see things start to change. We're going to see healthy families again. We're going to see healthy relationships again. And we're going to see healthy communities again, because we will be in spirit. And it's that connection back to it, or reclaiming it, or nurturing it. Let it bubble up, let it flame up. Being in spirit.